in a table format. Let me first insert a heading for this exercise. Let's take a look at the test specification. The property hazardous ingredients is a composition. And contains a list of components. We will want to access each component and display in a table data contained in each component. We will also display in the table the component composition information on this tab. Let's go back to the report template. First, we will include a table in the report template using Microsoft Word. In the first table row, we will insert descriptor symbols. And in the second table row, we will insert symbols. To insert descriptors, in the parameter window, we go to the descriptor tab. And I will now insert the descriptors.
Gehört der auch zur Bibel? Ja. Nee, das nicht. Oh ja?
I will make the header row bold. And let's run a syntax check and create a test report. We see that we have a table with a header row containing descriptors, and we will fill the data row. Let's go back to the report template. In the first column of the table row for data, we will include an identifier. Identifiers are in the symbol tree under specification symbol, specification header, table ESTRI, and field ident. The symbol, the identifier we want to include has an identification category of NAM for name and an identification type of annex. We will insert the identifier in the table. The second column includes another identifier for cast number. The category is num for number, and the type is cast for cast number. Let's include the identifier in the table. In the third column, we want to insert the symbol for hazard symbol which is part of the label EU value assignment type. So let's do a search for hazard symbol. It's under physical chemical property, no, regulations, labeling, Europe, labeling, EU, and hazard symbol. If we didn't know under which folder the symbol resided, we could do a search. We will specify for the multiple value assignment setting that all value assignments are selected. In the event that the symbol has multiple values. Hazard symbol is a phrase characteristic. We want the code instead of the phrase text, so we'll specify code and insert the symbol in the report template. Let's do a syntax check. We get an error that hazard symbol is not part of a main repeating group. So we'll go to the symbol and select it, and we will add a main repeating group. Now we see in the table cell hazard symbol is embedded in a repeating group. In the next column, we want to insert the symbol for R phrases. R phrases is under label EU also, so we can select it right here. We'll specify a multiple value assignment of all. And we also want to select the code, not the phrase text. We can insert the symbol in the table. And the symbol needs to be part of a main repeating group. So we will select the node label EU and insert a repeating group. If we do a syntax check, we should not have any errors. The next column needs to include composition data for hazardous ingredients. For the components, hazardous ingredients is under composition, hazardous ingredients. And since it is a composition, the composition data is available under the folder additional info in tables, and we are interested at the value assignment item data in table ESTVP. And we will select some data from the value assignment item. We will select the lower limit operator. And insert it into the table. We will add a space. We will insert the lower limit value into the table. Add a space and a dash. Make that visible. Also change the color to black. We will add the upper limit operator. And insert that in the table. And we will add the upper limit symbol. And now we can do a syntax check. We have some errors for the last column. There are two more steps we need to do. The error states that there is no master repeating group. For the data in this column for hazardous ingredients. First, since we are interested in data pertaining to the components of hazardous ingredients, which is a composition, we need to include the row, the whole row, in a slave group. So we select the row and we click on repeating group on the repeating group tab and select slave group composition and insert that in the report template. And since a slave group needs to be included in a master repeating group, we select the slave group and we will insert the master repeating group. In this case, the master repeating group for hazardous ingredients. So now we have a master repeating group for hazardous ingredient, which is a composition. The slave group gives us access to each component of the composition hazardous ingredients. In the first column, we will output an identifier for annex. In the second column, an identifier for cast number. In the third column, we will go in the property label EU of the component and output the symbol hazard symbol. In the fourth column, we will go in the property label EU and output the symbol phrases. And in the fifth column, we will output the composition data for the components residing in the test specification under hazardous ingredients on the composition tab. So let's do a syntax check. Let's save the report. Let's create a test report. And now we see in the table a line, a row for each component. In the first column, we have the identifier for annex. The second column, the identifier for cast number. In the third column, the data for hazard symbol. In the fifth column, the data for our phrases. And in the fifth column, the hazardous ingredient composition data. So if we take a look at the component xylene, for hazard symbol, the value is XN, and for our phrases, we have R10, R20, 21, and R38. And a composition of between 50 and 100. So let's go to the test specification. If we go to the composition hazardous ingredients, we see that xylene has a composition less or greater than 50 and less than 100, which is great. What we have in the template. Well, it seems that I put the same operator twice, so let me go back to the template. and make that change. I need to change the lower operator limit to the upper operator limit. That's more like it. So now we see that the concentration matches the composition in the spec, greater than 50, less than 100. So for xylene, we have greater than 50, less or equal than 100. If we open the component xylene by double-clicking on it, and go to the label EU value assignment under regulations, label we see that the hazard symbol has one phrase, and the report only prints the code. The code is XN. If we go to the report template for xylene, the code is XN. And if we look at our phrases, we output the code. So the code is R10, R20/21, and R38, which matches the output report. So let's get back to the report template. So we see that we've been able to access the information stored in the components using a slave reporting group inside a main reporting group. We also saw how we can use Microsoft Word functionality of inserting tables to format our template. In the next exercise, we will output several data records in a table, and we will suppress duplicate columns using condition text. Let me start by creating a heading for this exercise. Let's insert a table. In the first column, we will enter a descriptor. We'll insert the descriptor in the table. In the second column, we will enter a colon, and we will resize the column size. In the third column, we will insert the symbol for density, which is under physical chemical properties, density. Oh, density value is the symbol that I want. So we'll select density value. And insert that in the third column. In the fourth column, we will insert the symbol temperature. And in the fifth column, we will insert the symbol method, and we will choose expansion parameter phrase. We'll insert as a phrase text. We need to include these symbols in a repeating group for density. So we select the whole row, and we will insert the row inside a master repeating group for density. Did a syntax check, and let's do a test report. And we see the output of the report. There's only one row available. So let's go back to the specification used for testing, and we will add some additional data. So let's go to another session. Under value assignment type density, we have two value assignment instances. One is regworld, which is the one outputted in our report. The other one is US, which is not accessed. Remember that our generation variant has a usage or validity area of Great Britain. So let's create another instance for value assignment type density. Let's create the instance. And Under value, we will enter one gram per cube centimeters. Under temperature, we will enter 0 Celsius. And under method, we will select the phrase for ISO 8962. The default usage is public regworld, which is fine. We will use that as a default. Regworld is for everything. Let's save the specification. And let's go back to the report template. Let's create another test report. And now we see that we have two rows with the first column containing text density being duplicates. So let's go back to the template and add some a conditioned text. Let's toggle back. To add the condition text, so I select the symbol that we want to suppress, for which we want to suppress duplicates. And under the menu Edit Condition Text, we can choose the menu Edit Condition Text or the icon condition text. We see that square brackets were inserted around the descriptor symbol. Let's do a syntax check and create a test report. As we can see, duplicates for the first column was removed in the second row.